What is up, YouTube? AM Figures here. Today I am bringing you a review of the Amazon exclusive box set of the Defenders. So, as you can see here, we have Jessica Jones, or Jewel, Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, Danny Rand, aka Iron Fist, and Luke Cage, otherwise known as Power Man. So I'm just going to jump into a review of these guys. And yeah, we'll knock them all out this video. Should be no longer than maybe like 20 minutes. Figures spend like five minutes or less on each figure. We'll see what happens. Yeah, so first we'll jump in with the box. Honestly, it's one of my favorite boxes that I own. You'll understand when you see it. So we'll lay it down flat, and here we are, the Defenders. And all of these guys are, I think the word is embossed on the box. I could be wrong about that word, but basically here, they're all just a little raised. Probably can't really tell, but the images are a little raised, so it kind of feels like the box has some texture. That's what that means, basically. Up here you can see Murdock, Jones, Cage, and Rand. So that's the front of the box, really awesome. Here's the bottom. Here is the top, just says the Defenders. The side is all their individual symbols: Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, and Marvel Legends series. And over here it's the same thing. And the back has them all posed up, pretty sick. Now you'll notice I did take the wrist things off of my Luke Cage. I just like the way it looks better without them, but that's just me. But yeah, the inside is also very cool. So this opens up right here, and you get like full character bios of each one of them. Or I shouldn't say full, they're short. They're just quick little explanations. Like here we go, we got Daredevil, blinded as a child, learns to hone senses to become martial arts master, and so on and so forth. I'll get a full view of these. If you want to read them, you can pause right here. There we go. And here's the little the gauntlets that Luke comes wearing. Like I said, I took them off. I just like how he looks better without them. But that's just me. That's my personal preference. But yeah, so here we have it set up. It would come Iron Fist here, Luke Cage here, then Jessica Jones and Daredevil. Not that the layout really matters, but just for explanation's sake. So we'll stick the box right over here. If it'll stand up, which I don't think it wants to. So we'll lean it back a bit. Still doesn't want to stand. There we go. Again, it took a bit more effort than I had than I was hoping for. But we will jump into the review now. So we'll start from front to back, I guess. So that meaning we'll start with Jewel first. So let's get her out of there. She's a pretty cool figure, honestly. It's the body mold that's used for her is pretty much the same female body mold that they use for like every female character that I've seen, at least. At least it looks that way. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not every single female character, but you know, besides the point. Unfortunately, it still has the single jointed elbows. Hopefully they fix that soon and they start releasing the females with double jointed elbows as well. But yeah, so start up here on the top. She can look down pretty far. Her chin touches her chest. She can actually look up pretty far as well. Despite her long hair, she can actually look up pretty damn far. And yeah, so that's pretty nice. I like that. So her arms, her shoulders come up about there. Of course, they do come all the way around, just like usual for any Marvel Legends. And these are single jointed, like I said, so they come down to a full, you know, to be completely straight, which is good. But they only come up to about a 90-degree angle, which kind of sucks, but it's whatever. I could deal with it because I'll probably just have them displayed just how they're set up right now. So I don't really mind the single jointed elbows or anything like that. But yeah, so she can look, you know, her ab crunch, not really too far. Crunch is not about that far. Back, pretty far actually, about there. And then her legs come up about that far, kick up about that far, but they don't kick back very far at all. And her knees are double jointed, so she can pretty much kick herself in the ass. And her ankles move up about that far and down about that far, and she does have an ankle pivot, although it is a little tight. It's not too bad. See, it's already loosened up. There we go. So yeah, that is Jessica Jones, aka Jewel. I'll get her into the pose I had her in later. So oh, and this base was with the Diamond Select Daredevil. But yeah, so we will jump into Daredevil now, because Daredevil is my favorite of the four, so we'll keep him. Okay, so now normally something I noticed, like with his batons, they normally come bent if you buy the figure. That's just something I've seen like on reviews and whatnot. But honestly, this figure, they're really not that bad on this figure. Like, I don't know if you can see, they're really not like warped or anything like that. They look pretty good. So I don't know if I got lucky or if this box set is just actually pretty damn good with that. But yeah, so overall it's a really nice Daredevil figure, in my opinion at least. It's definitely just a repaint mostly, but not well, no, actually I think it's pretty much entirely a repaint. This is the only Daredevil that I own aside from the Netflix official, or the Netflix official, the Netflix show one from Marvel Legends. I own that one, but this is the only comic Daredevil I own. So, you know, pretty cool. And it's definitely a nice looking figure. I love the colors, the light red on the body and the legs and the arms, and then the dark red for the boots and the gauntlets. Something I did just notice, there's a bit of paint rub or chipping, whatever you want to call it, right here on the bicep. Bicep. Jeez, I'm all over the place today. All over the forearm. And that is something that I've seen when I watched excuse me, sheesh. I watched some reviews of this box set before I picked it up, and that is something that I did notice. Some people had some paint chipping on the Daredevil, like on the bicep here, which is unfortunate, but it's not something that I like can't get over. You know, I little stuff like that doesn't bother me a ton, but I understand why it would bother people, because it's kind of like, you know, I paid, you know, pretty decent price for these guys, and you know, the QC issues are like, what the fuck. But anyways, onto the articulation. So Daredevil can look down pretty far, his chin can touch his chest, look up pretty damn far as well, and his shoulders, here we go, come down about that far, up about that far, so pretty good. And of course the bicep swivel. Something I didn't mention with Jewel is that she also does not have a bicep swivel, which is kind of unfortunate, excuse me, because bicep swivels are very nice when it comes to figures. They really help with articulation, posing, and whatnot. Sorry, sheesh, I got something stuck in my throat. But anyways, so the elbows are double jointed. They come up to about this far, so pretty good, maybe about 45-degree angle. So I think that's a pretty good range of motion for his arms. Pretty basic, honestly. So yeah, but the ab crunch, he crunches down about that far and back about that far, so nothing too crazy. But onto the legs, they kick up about that far, pretty good, but they don't kick back all that far. He does have double jointed knees, which come up to about here, probably because of this. The straps here kind of hinder it. They kind of get in the way a little bit. I don't know if you can see, yeah, right there, they kind of get in the way of the bend, but nothing, you know, not terrible in my opinion. I don't mind it too much, you know. Like I said, I'm just going to have these guys posed how I had them set up from the beginning of the video, so it really doesn't bother me, like the slight restrictions that Daredevil has and stuff. Although, I do think there's somebody, I was watching a review, and I do agree with some one of the points that the person made. I forget whose review it was, but Daredevil should, they do need to kind of rework his mold, because he is one of the most acrobatic heroes, probably the most, next to Spider-Man only, really. So I do think they need to update his body mold just so you can get more poses out of it. Like, the poses you can get right now are pretty good, but they could be better. Like, for his shoulders, I think he should have butterfly joints here just to, you know, give more range of motion. That would be a good idea on Hasbro's part. But I don't mind the sculpt. I think it's good. I think it looks nice. But anyways, on to the next, Iron Fist. So, the one thing I will say about Iron Fist is that I did have to heat him up so that I could fix his legs. His legs came very warped. They were basically completely bent inward, like from the shin here was basically bent completely inward. So it just didn't really look right when posing, so I just had to heat those up and fix it. It's an easy fix, but even still, it's like, why? Like, why does that happen? But I don't work in the factory, so I don't know the problems that could occur. I don't know. Anyways, he does come with 2 accessories, as you can see, the flaming fists. Let's pop one off real quick. So it's just 2 of these, which have been seen before. I don't know if they've been seen in this color, but I'm sure they have. They have definitely made these pieces before. Whoops. But yeah, and it's pretty much a repaint of the regular Iron Fist, like with the full, that when he's in his full green suit. It's really just a repaint of that. It's the same body and everything. It's just painted to look like he's shirtless. It's basically the same thing, though. The only thing it doesn't include, which is unfortunate, is the glowing fist accessory that comes with the other one. But I can look past it. It's whatever. I don't mind these effects. They look pretty good. But on to articulation. So he can look up about that far, look down about that far, and his ab crunch, whoops, comes down pretty far, which is good. Back about that far, which is also not awful. And his arms, see, this is what I mean, like he has the butterfly joints, so I think Daredevil should have those too, but it's whatever. So there is that articulation there. Also, his shoulder comes up about that far. And he does have a bicep swivel. And he does have double jointed elbows, but they come up really far because his arms are fairly skinny. So they come up pretty far. That's pretty good in my opinion. Onto the legs. They kick up about that far. Don't come back too far again, same as the others. And he does have double jointed knees, so he can kick himself in the ass. And his feet he does have an ankle pivot, and they come down about that far, and whoops, up about that far. It's pretty good. Actually, that's something I don't think I mentioned on Daredevil. He does have an ankle pivot, so that is good as well. He has the ankle pivot. He shares pretty much the same articulation with the rest. It's essentially the same amongst him and Iron Fist and Luke Cage. Jewel's the only one that doesn't have the same articulation style, because she doesn't have the double jointed and elbows and all that good stuff. Something I haven't been mentioning, which I'll mention when I go over Luke Cage right now. Here we go. So, something I haven't been mentioning is they all do have a thigh swivel here, so you can turn it at the thigh there for added articulation. They do all have that, even including Jessica Jones. Now this Luke Cage, from what I've heard, he's actually like pretty like wanted. I think this is the only time they've like recreated him. I haven't been in Marvel Legends all that long, so I'm not too certain of that. But nonetheless, he's a pretty awesome figure. I do like it. I prefer this street look, like street clothes look of Luke Cage. I like it a lot. I like the figure. The only thing that throws me off is like the shoulder joints. I don't know if you can see, they're kind of uneven. It might not even be noticeable. It might just be me being fucking weird. But they're kind of uneven, but it's whatever. That's something I can look past. So anyways, it's a, you know, pretty basic figure. He doesn't come with anything like accessory wise aside from his gauntlets here, which are removable, as you can see. So we'll just jump into articulation. So he can look down pretty far. His chin can touch his chest. Look up pretty far as well. His ab crunch comes down pretty damn far, and back really far as well. Broke his back right there. They all do also have this the swivel at the waist, except for Jessica Jones. And here we go. We got the shoulder joints, so they come up about that far. Pretty good. Not too bad. He's got double jointed elbows, which really bend about that far, honestly. And for his legs, he can kick up pretty high, but you know, straight out, which is pretty good. Doesn't kick back that far. That's about as far back as it'll go. But he does have double jointed knees, so he can also almost just about kick himself in the ass. The only thing is these pieces are not removable, which I don't mind, but it'd be cool if they were, just to have regular like jeans underneath, so I could remove these and the biceps. But I don't mind the way they look with them on, or not the bicep, the gauntlets. Jeez, like I said, I'm all over the place today. I don't know what my problem is, so excuse my errors in speaking. But yeah, so his feet bend down about that far, pretty good. They come up just about that far, and he does have an ankle pivot, so that's very nice. Overall, I really like these figures. I've just recently started getting into the Defenders. I was always more of an Avengers guy. I never really read the comics either. I'm just recently getting into comics as a whole. And I would like to start reading the Defenders and Daredevil comics specifically. So I saw these guys, and I had to pick them up. They're very nice, very, very nice figures. And like I said, I've been getting into Defenders recently. So like, just from watching like the Netflix show, and well, all of the shows. But the Defender show specifically made me want to pick these guys up. And honestly, I think it's worth it. They're really not too much. It's like $80 for 4 figures, which when it comes to Marvel, that's a pretty good deal. It's you know, it's kind of basic, because each one is like $20, so plus tax, so it'd really only be a little over 80 if you were to pick up 4 individually. But 80 altogether for 4 figures, it's pretty nice. I think, and I think it's very much worth it. They're very nice figures, very good. The Daredevil's really nice. He was my main concern, because I fucking love Daredevil. Him and Iron Fist were the main two. Those are my 2 favorites of the group. Daredevil being number 1. But yeah, so I think they're worth it. I think they're really nice figures. Not to go on and on. They are nice figures. There are some QC issues that I mentioned, like Daredevil is he's got some paint rub on his forearm. You know, Danny Rand came a little with his knees a little bent out of shape. That one, like the warping, It's annoying, but it's not a terrible fix. It's a pretty easy fix. All I do is I grab a hair dryer and then heat up the joint for a few minutes. Not even minutes, maybe like 1 minute at most. Heat up the joint and then bend it how I want it to be bent, and then I just hold it that way and run it under cold water so that the joint will stay in place. And it's worked pretty well for me thus far. So it's a pretty decent, pretty good and working technique, and it doesn't hurt the figure or anything, unless if you keep it on there for too long, or if you hold it too close, then you might wind up melting the plastic. So you just got to be careful with that. But it's not too it's not too complicated or anything like that to do that little method. I think it's worth the risk as well, because when you get warped joints like that, it can be kind of a pain in the ass to pose the figure, so I think it's worth it. And like I said, as long as you're not holding the freaking hair dryer like right up the figure's ass, then you'll be fine. But yeah, if I will say, because I just want to put a little disclaimer. I don't want to be held responsible for any figure melting that might go on or anything. You guys just if you're gonna try that, just be careful, because the hairdryer can get hot. Also be careful touching the plastic afterwards, because the hairdryer gets hot and that makes the plastic hot. So the plastic is going to be very warm. So just be careful when you're touching it. Don't burn yourself or anything like that. Just be careful. I just want to add that in there, because I don't want to have anybody commenting angrily saying that they hurt themselves or someone hurt themselves because they listened to me. So I just want to say that, just be careful. I'm not going to be responsible for any injuries that could occur, even though they're very unlikely. Anyways, with that being said, sorry for rambling. But yeah, so just want to make sure everyone stays safe and whatnot. I'm going to have to put a little edit in there. I was just interrupted in my recording, so I apologize if I repeat myself. But, yeah. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. If not, if you didn't enjoy, leave a dislike. But I asked, if you do leave a dislike, please leave a comment and tell me why. So that I know what I can do better and what I can improve on, so that maybe you'll like the next video. But yeah, if you really liked it, you can hit that little subscribe button down there and the little bell next to it, so you're notified whenever I upload. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys are having a great day, night, evening, afternoon, whatever it may be, wherever you are. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.